how do you deal with a intense protocol around your cycle?
Yeah.
Do you stick to this like perfect protocol every day? Like, because women's hormones flux and they really impact
hard.
how you feel.
100%. Yeah. No, I'm not perfect. And the other thing is like Brian is doing something extreme. Like he's doing something for himself that's like extreme. Like the expectation is not for other people to do this. So I don't want anyone to witness what he's doing and be like feeling like they aren't. Like everyone should just be doing their best in the moment and just treat themselves with grace. So I would be with you in that moment of like waking up and feeling like shit and you just want something easy. Totally get it. So yeah, and then on top of that, I think just knowing where a lot of people don't even know where they're at in the cycle and like what that impact has on their health. And so then if you know that, at least like when you have these cravings, you can actually relate to it in a way where you can understand. So for example, your first day period, I ovulated last night. So we're in the exact opposite side of the cycle spectrum.
You are going to sound so much smarter than me today.
I do feel particularly good. My HRV is up. I had great sleep. I always sleep horribly on my like first day of my period.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is real, and we should treat ourselves with grace and kindness in these moments of like acknowledging it's not something you can just like control. It's sometimes it's out of your control.
So let's go to last month when you were menstruating, when you had your first bleed day. What was your day like?
So the way to think about cycle, or the way I think about it anyway, and you can go again, rabbit hole information, but the top level is, so you have your follicular phase, which is, you already know this, but like for everyone at home, the first day of your period really starts that phase. So your period's in two phases, your follicular and your luteal. I like to think of follicular like, fuck yeah, like follicular, let's fucking go. And so that whole period, that first half, starting from the first day of your period until ovulation, you should really push yourself. You have more insulin resistance, so you can handle carbs better. You can really like push yourself and like go a little bit harder. Once you start ovulating and then through to the end of your cycle, like that's recovery time, rest time. And so right around this time where you're transitioning between the two, like I treat myself with so much care. And so if I don't feel like exercising that day, I don't push myself. Like also physically, like you're just, I don't know about you, but like I'm just uncomfortable. Like I'm cramping. I don't really feel comfortable pushing myself while I'm bleeding. And so oftentimes I'll just have like a rest day on those days.
Okay. And do you change your diet? Like, do you have these moments of urges, of cravings, where you're like, I actually really want to have something? Because when I spoke to Talmadge on here, or Brian, they're like, no, nothing is worth the compromise. And I feel like you are actually, I will grab some chocolate if needed. Or are you not like that?
I play within the sandbox.
Okay.
So like I might have some more berries, which I know it's depressing, but it's taken me a long time to even get there. Like before I would have the chocolate or whatever else. But now I do know that ultimately that's going to have a negative impact. It depends on what time it is. Like if I'm craving chocolate and it's in the morning, then I'll just have like an extra scoop of cocoa, which will have more heavy metals for my day than I should be having. But like that's my sandbox playing. But like I won't go for the chocolate that has like added sugars, for example. But again, like took me many years to get there, and I'm sure I'm going to also fall back off that bandwagon at some point, come back on. Like I'm not perfect by any means. So
So I guess like for you, it's keeping within the wheelhouse of whole foods.
Yes, exactly.
But you aren't tracking your macros so intensely that you will reduce your calorie intake.
Correct.
To get the data. Because I think I heard you, like, because you haven't done that many interviews.
Yes.
So I was trying to like grasp what I could from, because I haven't met you before, right? So I'm trying to like understand, you know, what's the intensity of Kate's protocol, and obviously I watched Don't Die. And I felt that from one of the interviews that you did, you know, you were so aware that you were given this chance to have this experiment, and you wanted to not let Brian down, the team down, the world down, because you're the first woman. I mean, it's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
Right? And I watched that and I just thought, so my science and what I'm really obsessed with is how we talk to ourselves. So
what did you observe?
So I observed. I'll tell you what I observed.
Tell me.
So the intersection of what I observed was, okay, you're having this like perfect diet, quote, if you're watching this on YouTube, like my quotation marks are coming up. No one can argue with the whole foods diet, okay? I mean, I'm not sure what your fasting restrictions are, and that's again something that maybe we could talk about, especially with the cycle. Like Stacey Sims will say, if you're exercising, Dr. Stacey Sims, who's an incredible nutritionist and physiologist, will say, make sure you have breakfast in the morning and then train. So there's a lot of like controversy around fasting and training and women's health. But you can have this perfect lifestyle. But then if you are beating yourself up every day, the self-critical lens, which is where I was when I was modeling, I had the perfect diet.
100%.
Right, and I ended up in hospital.
Yeah.
Because the self-criticism of not being perfect.
It overrides everything else.
Overrides everything. My cortisol, my stress hormones. And yeah, we do need cortisol to rise. We need it to get shit done in very small quantities. But if we're living a life of like the stress, it dampens our immune system and all of these things.
Yeah.
So I was kind of observing that. And this was about a year ago you had this interview. And I was thinking, you know, will she actually be affecting the data? Because she's got a self-critical lens of wanting to make sure that she's doing the right job.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
which is literally what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So talk to me about this.
Like that 30-day period where I first started and I jumped 2 feet in and like changed my lifestyle overnight. Like cold turkey, completely different human. I ended up, so I was doing 16 minutes of zone 5 training every single day during that time, which is just a lot for someone who didn't exercise before that.
And tell people quick, because people have heard of zone 2, but just explain what zone 5 is for the extremity of what you're actually saying.
So essentially it's as high as you can get your heart rate up. Pretty much, you can summarize that. And so like everyone, like as you age, your heart rate, your max heart rate decreases. For me, my zone 5 was anything above 173 beats per minute. So it's just like, your heart is going.
16 minutes. God, did you not throw up?
I know. It was like so much. It was so much. And I always want to do the best job I can. And so I pushed myself too much during that time period where I wasn't listening to the data. I was just pushing for the sake of pushing, like similar to probably how you were going about your modeling journey. And so, yeah, it really takes stepping back and looking at the data and that's the same thing. Even all the fasting around women's health and all these contrarian opinions around women's health in general, if you just follow your data, if you just get good data reliably, you'll be guided internally more than these bucket rules that can apply, especially when there isn't that much science on women's health specifically out there. And so like I always say, like, just go back to the data.
So emotionally, what happened after those 30 days? Like, did you crash? Did you have a breakdown? Like, what happened?
So we answered the question, does Brian's protocol work in someone else of different gender, different age? The answer is yes. Like, it does. Broccoli, exercise, sleep, it's fantastic for everyone. It's good to go. After that point, it was like, okay, so now if I'm going to keep doing this, I need to find the right balance for myself psychologically, lifestyle-wise, all that kind of stuff. So I've kind of been going through this journey of finding my balance. And I think I'm someone, like I said, I'm a student of the mind. Like I love understanding people. And so I'm very realistic in knowing that we are individuals that are so impacted by the way we think, the emotions we feel. So I always knew going into this that I was never going to be able to be perfect forever.
But you can't, because that's not being human.
Yeah, that's
right?
My experience. Totally.
I'm a chaotic.
Yeah. I'm a chaotic. I'm a creative. I want to stay up late. I want to do bad things. I want to throw a grenade into my life sometimes and like just see what happens. Like that's totally me. So that's why I mean about the sandbox. And I think, I don't know about you, but this is happiness as well to me, that you operate within the constraints of your environment. And you will find happiness and sadness and highs and lows and crashes, no matter what your environment is. When you're placed into it, like that's, you just go in the sandbox and you find the edges. And so I knew that the goal here was not to be perfect. I'm always going to have highs and lows. I'm always going to feel like I'm screwing up and being successful. But the goal is to create a sandbox environment where generally it's 10 times healthier than I was before. And that's where I'm at now after a year and a half of doing this.